Well, welcome to another Team CGC 9.8 video. So today's going to be box number 2, kind of part 2 of my entire CGC 9.8 collection. And if you haven't checked out part 1 already, I'll put up a link here and of box number 1, which was mostly Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, and X-Men was in there too. A couple other surprises. So that's box number 1. Box number 2 here is mostly a Batman box, and I'm pretty sure every comic in this box is actually a Batman comic, essentially. Batman-related comic. So, yeah, you know what? Mostly into 80s and 90s books. So, most of these books are 80s and 90s CGC 9.8 Batman-related books. So certainly if you're into the era. And I noticed too, in my third box I have my Batman the Killing Joke. So I actually have that book too, but not on this video, in this box. That'll be on the next video. Box number 3. But yeah, let's just get right into it here. Yeah, because the first issue, a classic issue, is Batman The Dark Knight Returns #1. Yeah, first appearance of Carrie Kelly, the girl Robin. Yeah, a couple, you know, this is an early book that I purchased in my collection. A couple of important lessons, I think, to learn from purchasing this book. You know, I did kind of buy this as basically a full retail price. It was about $800 US, I would say. And, yeah, this was the only one in Canada at the time. And I had seen one the week before sell for just under $700. So, you know, at the time I just really didn't care, to be honest. I'm like, I'm just going to pay an extra $100 to just get the book right now, kind of thing, in a new case. But so that was kind of the first mistake I made, was I wasn't patient and I just bought like a buy it now full retail price book on eBay, which I always say to kind of watch out for, because every comic that you would want, there's usually, you know, especially in the CGC 9.8, like a book on the internet, on eBay, that's like 30, 40, even 50, 100% even more than kind of the price you should pay for. Yeah, because that was a mistake, because I've seen them this year. I think I've seen one of these, I think it went for like $420 in an auction. You know, the pictures weren't looking very good, but it was a new case, and I was like, wow, that's a good deal. But in general, you could probably grab this for about $500 to $600 in like an auction where the, you know, pictures are looking good. Second thing I kind of messed up on this book is, you know, such a really simple cover. If you notice, there's some inner well scuffing on this CGC case. It's kind of throughout the whole book, too. I'm kind of familiar with, like, some books have slight inner well scuffing and things like that, but this one, it's pretty seriously scuffed. So, especially, too, there's quite a bit of scuffing right here on Batman's silhouette. So being such a simple cover, I think, you know, the inner well scuffing on this book is pretty important. So, you know, I don't think a book with inner well scuffing is worth like a full retail price. But just at the time, you know, I think this was in the first 10 books I bought. And I got really excited when, you know, I was like, oh, this is like a top 10 graphic novel of all time. And first girl Robin. And it's basically somewhat known as like the first Batman, modern Batman interpretation, kind of, you know, Bruce Wayne's just kind of older, and it's really cool. He, like, you know, he's like the classic Batman in this, where like he's a sadist, like he doesn't care, whereas, you know, older Batman kind of struggled with his feelings, whereas in this he just kicks ass and doesn't care. So a classic Batman book, you know, from the 80s, a 1986 book. Okay, yeah, let's get into it here, so it's just not as super long, but Batman Beyond #1 in the first print, CGC 9.8, first appearance of Terry McGinnis, first Batman Beyond in comics, and you want to get the UPC code version here. That origin issue is kind of cool too, but pretty expensive in the 9.8, so you might as well just put all your money toward this. There's only, I think, 150 of these in the CGC 9.8 on the census, so yeah, for such a popular appearance, it's, you know, I've spoke about this in the past. I think this is probably one of the best modern books that you could buy. First Batman Beyond, only 150 on the census. Yeah, and, you know, so good that I did grab 2 of them. Another CGC 9.8. Yeah, this one, yeah, they both got a little bit of Newton rings kind of in the middle, but I really don't even care about Newton Rings. Really nice books, really nice colors. You got a pop chart advertisement. So yeah, Batman Beyond #1. That is a book that I would consider actually buying another, like to kind of cap it off at 3. One of my just favorite books ever. Okay, next book is Batman Legends of the Dark Knight #120. This is the first kind of new Batgirl in her costume ever. So kind of Cassandra Cain in her Batgirl costume. Really like the cover, I gotta say. The artists on the cover, Dale Englisham and Sean Parsons. Definitely did a really good job on this cover, I think. Right off the bat, it kind of caught my eye, and just kind of get like a modern, somewhat of a secondary first appearance in there too. And this time in the 90s, this being a 1999 comic, I've spoke about it before, kind of during the comic book recession, sort of in that point where the movies didn't start coming out, making comics really popular again, and then also at the point where printing really started winding down with the internet coming up. So there's not a lot of these on the CGC census. I forget the exact number, but not a lot. It's under 100. And it kind of matches another book I got. Okay, yeah, we'll get into the Batmans here. So Batman 570 I got a copy of. This, I think, was maybe the second CGC 9.8 book I ever bought. Yeah, just growing up in the kind of, my peak comic book collecting time was sort of, I would say maybe 1995 to the year 2000, was when I really liked comics. So this is a nostalgic cover for me. And, sort of a love it or hate it cover, I gotta say. It is Harley Quinn's first appearance in the Batman title. So that's kind of its claim to fame, I guess. Joker cover. Yeah, some people, will say it's a really boring cover, and they got a point, but for me, just so nostalgic from the 90s. Again, a 1999 comic, late 1999, so not too many printed, and not too many on the census either. Might be over 100 of that one on the census. Kind of when Harley Quinn blew up, everyone just got every Harley Quinn book CGC pretty much. So this book goes with my Batman Legends of the Dark Knight 120. This is a first appearance of new Batgirl, first appearance of Cassandra Cain. And she's going to be in the up-and-coming Birds of Prey movie. I think as like a child, if I sort of read the blogs right, I guess. But really like this cover. Yeah, Batman 567. Oh yeah, 570 is a lot. Batman 567. And yeah, you get a first appearance. Not very many of these on the census for kind of the same reason. Kind of a late 1999 book. These are all from pretty much the same era. Same year, 1999, all of those. Okay, yeah, this is a really cool book too. This next one here. A Batman 550. And in an old case here. Yeah, I purchased this from a seller that's really well known in Canada. And he's a Canadian seller, so I'm always kind of checking his store every now and then just to see if there's something kind of new and eclectic. And yeah, this is definitely kind of goes in that category because last time I checked, I didn't look today, but there was only 2 of these on the CGC census. Batman 550. First appearance of Clay Thing. So kind of modern Clayface, like real, modern age Clayface. Which I've read in blogs that some people kind of classify it as that, but Clay Thing, it's first appearance of Clay Thing, and first appearance of Cameron Chase, and apparently she's a Gotham detective, and she was in the Supergirl series, I believe. So I got first appearance of Cameron Chase, and I also have, we'll get to later, is a first appearance of Renee Montoya, the other kind of female detective in Batman. Which is pretty cool to kind of have both of those, which I didn't really plan to do, but yeah, Batman 550, there's only 2 of these on the census, that's why I bought it. It was $100, and kind of a sucker for these low census Batmans, because yeah, I always do recommend just Batman books are just usually in general like cheaper than Amazing Spider-Man books, and if you're really patient and wait for an auction, they're really cheaper, and then there's less of them on the census, so. Oh yeah, next book, okay, that works out. Batman 475, this is the first Renee Montoya. Really cool Scarface cover. And we'll get into first appearance of Scarface and the Ventriloquist, who's a Batman villain, this guy right here, with the Scarface dummy and the possessed dude. Yeah, really cool Batman villain, I think. And yeah, I kind of half bought this because it was the first appearance, and half bought this for the cool cover. I think for the era, it's one of the cooler covers, because yeah, they're kind of hit or miss this era, I would say. And the next book, I think, is probably one of the coolest covers from the era too. Kind of counting down from a Batman, more modern to a older Batman. Batman 450 in the newsstand version too. This one, and a little bit more rare. It's a brief origin of Joker. So yeah, this is a cover I got. I think 3 or 4 of these in a raw copy too. It's one of my, whenever I look through Batman bins, usually there's still this issue. Usually all the keys get swiped pretty good, but there's always this issue for like $5 or something. And yeah, great Joker cover, I think. And yeah, you get kind of a brief origin of Joker, which I think most people don't really know. And yeah, for the era, I think, yeah, again, kind of hit or miss in this era, I think, for covers. But definitely a hit on that one, Batman 450. Yeah, if you're like patient on an auction for that one, that's like really cheap too. Alright, yeah, next one. A real nice Batman 428. And this is the death of Jason Todd. From, a Death in the Family series. So this is kind of the main key from that A Death in the Family series. And kind of the hardest one to find on the CGC census too. Did notice on eBay there is one of these, I believe it's $289.99 or something like that, in a new case. I think it's in the States. Yeah, I can't remember how the shipping was, but that's actually less than what I paid for this. $289 US. It's less than what I paid for this. And yeah, when I had really kind of focused on purchasing Batman books of this era, this is a book that I wanted. And it wasn't one that was like up on the CGC 9.8 for like months of doing the search results for it, looking like hunting for it, right? So when an auction did come up for it, I did remember I kind of just overbid to make sure I won it, and I think someone else kind of had the same idea as me, maybe overbidding a bit. But yeah, $289 for a Batman 428 online right now. I think that's, if you're like into this era of Batman, that's a good stab. Alright, next book. A really nice Batman number 423. In the first print, too. I think there's 3 prints of this one. You always want to get the first print, especially in kind of 80s books. Usually the first prints are the ones to get. Although second and third prints are somewhat rare, and then some of them tend to shoot up in value, especially in graded comics. But for this one, classic Todd McFarlane cover. This is the best Todd McFarlane Batman cover. We'll get into another Todd McFarlane Batman cover that I got. But this is the best one. Yeah, this is the best one, Batman 423. Not even in the blue label on the census, there's not even 100 of these. So I think it was 80 something the last time I looked for a video, maybe a couple weeks ago. So maybe there's 90 by now or something. But great thing about this one is it's perfectly centered along the spine. No pages coming out the side. This one's a perfect one. Yeah, I was so happy with this one. I remember this auction too. Looked really good in the pictures too. So and it really is just a flawless Batman 423. Yeah, been cover homaged a couple times, this one, and for the era, it's hands down the best Batman cover of this era, for sure, I think. And yeah, it's just kind of McFarlane. I've said in other videos, it's kind of McFarlane just perfecting his cape, and like it's like Spawn prototype, pretty much. And yeah, I like this book so much too, I got another one. Yeah, in the first print. This one really nicely centered too. Yeah, I pretty much got 2 perfect Batman 423s, which makes me really happy, to be honest. Yep, I love Batman. Probably my favorite superhero. Certainly him and Spidey right neck and neck. I kind of always say I like Batman more because he's more relatable. Like his parents got killed and he's got issues and he's a real guy. He doesn't really necessarily have superpowers. So yeah, always love Batman, and McFarlane's one of my favorite artists, obviously. And yeah, super happy to have 2 Batman 423s. Really collectible. You know, they're 2 of 80 something again. There's only 80 or maybe 90 by now on the blue label of CGC 9.8s. So yeah, to kind of have a 1 of 80 something or 2 of 80 something is really cool. All right, next book here, Batman number 408. There's a Joker appearance here, is what the title says. This is also the beginning of the origin of Jason Todd, who's, yeah, the second Robin. And kind of this cover's sort of claim to fame is this, the Lamborghini Countach cover, which a lot of people are kind of nostalgic for Lamborghini Countaches, I think. So, and I do like cars, so. Yeah, this issue was a kind of an add-on issue of, I forget exactly what book I purchased, but it was like there was a book I'd spend more money on, and this was a part of that same auction at the same time from the same seller, so I ended up winning this one too. A little bit off-centered on the pages here. Yeah, I always kind of somewhat because I don't think I got the best deal on it. I believe it was, I think it was over $100, and I've seen some of these since like try to get sold for less than 100, and sometimes they don't even sell, so I don't, you know, still a nice one to have. But yeah, off-centered along the pages here. Sometimes when the pages pop out of either the top or the side is probably, for me, kind of the most annoying thing for like CGC 9.8 comics. I just like the cover to just look like really centered without the pages kind of sticking out. But still a 9.8, still super crisp. And yeah, I think I do like Lamborghini Countaches too. Alright, I had posted this one on Instagram as kind of a teaser for this video, but Batman number 404, Year 1, Part 1, first appearance of modern Catwoman too, like Selina Kyle. I don't know if it's the first Selina Kyle, but it's first modern Catwoman in the modern era. Really cool cover. Yeah, Year 1, Part 1. I would recommend the sort of animation movie for Year 1 too, which is super cool movie. But yeah, I love Frank Miller's Batman is the best, pretty much. Just because Batman turned into a complete badass. That's basically what Frank Miller did. Okay, next one, Batman 368. This is first Jason Todd in costume, and officially becomes the second. Yeah, he officially becomes the second Robin in this one. Yeah. Next one coming up, I think, is officially the first Jason Todd as Robin. But this is when he officially becomes Robin with the cool kind of classic cover. And yeah, this book's quite affordable. I saw like an auction go, and it was really cheap. I kind of just must have flew through the cracks, kind of. I think it was under $100 too. I think, yeah, I remembered paying. I think it was like $150 or $160 Canadian for this. So put it over a bit, you know, a bit over $100. About a year ago or so, maybe even longer. Kind of cool classic cover. That seems to be quite available though, and you know, for kind of a sort of an early to mid 80s book, I think it's cool. Next one, Batman 366. I really like this cover. It's I think a bit of a love it or hate it kind of cover, but Walt Simonson, who, you know, did this cover, has since done a lot of other Joker covers that are really, really cool too. But this is kind of his original Joker with the dually wieldy handguns. And yeah, this is a cover that I've really just grown to really, really like. And it's pretty much one of my favorite Batman issues. I sort of made a choice to go after a couple of these rather than buy a Batman 357, which I think is like an underwhelming cover. And, you know, first appearance of Jason Todd, first Killer Croc. I mean, it's certainly a key issue, and, you know, one that probably, if it kind of popped up from a, you know, favorite seller, you know, I just never kind of had an opportunity to buy a 357 at a decent price. But 366 is just, I think, cheaper and just as cool. And yeah, so this is the first Jason Todd in Robin costume, but he officially becomes Robin in 368. This one is the newsstand issue too, so newsstand version, a little bit more rare. A super classic cover. Yeah, kind of cool to have these during the Joker movie and stuff. Got another one here. This one in the direct version, in an old case. White pages, this one. Yeah, and this one really has the colors too, actually. So it's cool when you get kind of two 9.8s, put them beside each other. This one, really nice white pages, really nice colors. Yeah, in the old case too. Yep, still a super high grade example. And I also have, yeah, a raw copy of this in the high grade too. I got a lot of raw Batman copies too. I got a couple Batman 423s in the raw too. That'll be for another day, the raw collection video maybe. Really cool Batman issue here. Like I mentioned, didn't buy Batman 357. I got the sun shining in now. Batman 358 though, which I ended up picking up. Yeah, I love this era of Batman. It still surprises me to this day that I don't have Batman 357. But 358, I definitely like the cover more on 358 than 357. It's the first Killer Croc cover, although his face is hidden, but that is Killer Croc. And yeah, the coolest thing about this book is, last time I checked, and there's probably a couple more now, but there was 21 CGC 9.8s in the blue label. So yeah, to kind of have a one of, maybe it's 25 now, I don't even know. I haven't looked at the census for all these books today. But to have a one of 20 something, I think is just a really cool thing. And yeah, this is pretty much, I think it would go down as the second appearance of Killer Croc, I believe, too. But yeah, super rare in the high grade. And this, price-wise, it kind of reminds me of Amazing Spider-Man 300 and Amazing Spider-Man 301. You know, Batman 357 being the main key is, you know, you could probably find it in an auction for about $500. Maybe in an old case, if it didn't look that good, maybe a little bit less than that, but likely more than that. Whereas this issue kind of seems to be nestling in the sort of $300 to $400 range. Because it's so rare, so it's like a little bit less than its key issue counterpart. Because yeah, this really isn't a key issue, I would say. You know, 357 is the main key issue, but 358, more rare in the census, and yeah, really high in price, kind of like how 301 is. In a CGC 9.8, Amazing Spider-Man 301 is $1,250 now, and it's not a key issue, it's just really rare on the census. And it's the issue after 300, which is kind of the issue, so similar situation. Yeah, rare in the CGC 9.8, and again, I like this cover better than 357. With 357, with that whole green tone, just kind of makes it like, what's going on, like on the first sort of hit of the cover, so it's not one that I've, you know, been really attracted to over time, and I don't have it, but, you know, you never want to say never, because I do love these Batman books from the era. Next book here, get into some detective books. Detective 737, and I do like to kind of buy, like, pairing books, and I bought a Batman 570 first, which is first Harley Quinn in the Batman title, and this is first Harley Quinn in the detective title, and it's like part 2 of sort of the Batman 570, the code it's called. But pretty cool cover, and goes well with Batman 570, and not a lot on the census. I think there was like 40 or 50 of these in the CGC 9.8 white pages on the census. And yeah, these somewhat have cooled down. I think these were one of the first books I had bought, actually. And I don't think I got a very good price for them, to be honest. Just some of the first books I bought, just wasn't really doing too much due diligence like I am now doing this channel. Yeah, next book, really super awesome comic. I was so glad to pick this up. Detective 583. This is the first appearance of Scarface and the Ventriloquist, so a really cool Batman villain, and a great cover. Yeah, it's a Mike Mignola cover, yeah. He did the cover on Batman 428 too, that Death of Robin cover, which is, I think, a great cover. Yeah, the more that Batman 428, that kind of grows on you more with looking at it and just kind of how Robin's dead and stuff. That cover gets better with age. But this, right away, I think is a great cover. And yeah, first appearance of Scarface and the Ventriloquist, a really cool Batman villain. Paid $250 for this book. Less than 100 on the CGC census in the CGC 9.8 too. I'm almost positive on that. Maybe it might be a little bit over 100 now. Yeah, he had an appearance on the Gotham show, Scarface and the Ventriloquist, and it really was a big hit. And this book had, I think at that point, probably got like 40 or 50 graded, like in the 9.8, probably after that show, just from the rush of collectors going out to get it. But also, you know, some of these issues with, you know, these secondary villains and things like that could be really good buys for before the Batman comes out, because yeah, you're hearing that there's a lot of rumors that in the Batman there's just going to be tons of villains, like whether it's Killer Croc or yeah, Scarface and the Ventriloquist. Who knows, if they do something more odd like that, that would be cool. Or even like First Anarchy is another book that comes to mind. I think it's like Detective 608. It's like less than $100, and you know, first appearance of a villain. So, all right, Detective 576. This is the Todd McFarlane cover with Pablo Marcos, and pretty cool cover, and definitely not as cool, I think, as Batman 423 or anything like that. But still, I really like that you see the circular element here. You kind of get McFarlane's like thing with circles at the beginning. And yeah, I kind of know, like, are kind of hard to know who, you know, what did what. I personally don't know. I haven't read too much about, like, you know, McFarlane drew Batman, or maybe Pablo Marcos did. But certainly the circular element is pretty McFarlane, I would say, with how he does circles on a lot of his covers. Whether it's the Moon or the Amazing Fantasy, or Amazing Spider-Man 300 kind of circles. But yeah, a book I just wanted because I wanted to have both McFarlane, my favorite artist, and Batman, my favorite superhero. I wanted to kind of have all of his books. And yeah, and actually another book that's in my last box is Spawn Batman crossover with Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane. And that's kind of the other Todd McFarlane Batman book that I would really recommend out of Batman 423, and then Batman 576, and then Spawn Batman crossover. Alright, really love this next book. Detective number 525. This is definitely for me the coolest Killer Croc cover. Like most Batman books, like not very much on the census compared to like Amazing Spider-Man books and stuff like that. I compare this book to Amazing Spider-Man 316 in some ways. Like Amazing Spider-Man 316, it's not really a key issue, but it's like the coolest first Venom cover. And yeah, even though this isn't like the first Killer Croc cover or anything like that, it's definitely the first coolest Killer Croc cover. So yeah, I think for that reason, it's just a good collectible to have, certainly if you like this era of Batman. And not a lot in the census either, not a lot at all. Cool thing about this book too, it was a part of the 11 that I had sent in to CGC myself. And yeah, it came back in 9.8 white pages, so I purchased this from a seller online, and I think he graded it a 9.6 or 9.8, so yeah, luckily to have that come back as a 9.8. Okay, and this one will be a funny one, because it's a 9.6, oh no. Detective Comics 523. This is a comic that I really want in the 9.8. I've saw on our pricing videos, I've seen probably 2 or 3 of these in the last like 6 months or so sell for $250 in the CGC 9.8. So that kind of seems to be the going rate for this book, and I want to pay that to grab one of these in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, I really like this cover. Classic detective issue from the era. 1983 book, so you know, from the 83s and a CGC 9.8 for $250, just how, you know, much of a classic cover this is. And yeah, first appearance of Killer Croc in cameo too, with, you know, usually cameos I'm not too crazy for. You know, the full appearances usually end up being the ones to grab, but yeah, with the better cover on this one, plus you get a cameo first appearance, it kind of makes it worth it, I think. Yeah, I wish this was a 9.8. Bought it from that seller where the one before this was oh yeah, you know what, it's probably this back corner. There's like a slight bend. Ooh. Okay. Alright, I think this is the last book. Alright, yeah, okay, last book here. Yeah, and I do have a couple other Batman ones in my other box, so I can't even fit them all in the one here. Last book here. Batman, Vengeance of Bane. The Bane special number 1. And yeah, CGC 9.8 white pages in the first print, origin and first appearance of Bane. And yeah, I kind of grabbed this one a couple months before Batman came out, or Bane, sorry, came out in the newest Batman series. And I think since then I've seen these go for maybe 20 or 30 or 40 bucks more than I paid for them. But yeah, in the new case, I grabbed this. It was like $2.25, I believe, and in an auction. And yeah, I've since seen them go for one went for over $2.50. So maybe a little spike up because Bane was, you know, I'd killed Alfred kind of in the newest Batman series. So, but yeah, origin and first appearance of Bane. Again, the villains thing runs through. I guess I just love first appearance of villains. I don't think Bane's going to be in the Batman movie. But who knows? I think in the Batman movie, there could just be like a bunch of cameos because, you know, Robert Pattinson's going to be a young Batman, so maybe he runs into like 5 or 6, you know, villains, but maybe only 1 or 2 are like the main villains. That would be probably pretty cool. Okay, that's it, eh? Yeah, okay. That is all for my Batman box. And I got, again, yeah, I got the Killing Joke and Spawn Batman in my next box, so there might even be a couple other Batman issues in that box, to be honest, I forget. But, yeah, I pretty much from the inception of this channel, I've recommended to buy Batman CGC 9.8 from the 80s, because I think Batman is just as iconic as Spider-Man, but Amazing Spider-Man, there tends to be a lot of CGC 9.8s of those, you know, a lot printed, really popular. And for good reason. I don't say, like, don't buy Spider-Man, buy Batman, you know, I'm saying buy both, but I think Batman is kind of the value proposition of the bunch, because Batman's still really iconic. There's always less CGC 9.8s. And in general, if you're really patient, because there's less, you have to be more patient on the Batman books. But if you are patient, you can get them at like really cheap prices. Yeah, and that Batman 368 comes to mind, where that first official Robin in costume. I saw one go, I think it was for like 60 bucks in the CGC 9.8, and kind of a bit of an obscure auction, but you know, if they're out there for you know, quite a good price. Certainly if you're patient too. But yeah, I would say, you know, one of the books I really want to grab is I want another Batman 404. You know, such a classic cover, and I just want to find another one that's like perfectly centered and, you know, CGC 9.8. So, and at a good price, because there is like maybe 3 or 4 of those on eBay right now for like $180, $190, and I'm looking to pay kind of more $130-ish for that. I've seen them go in the past for about $130, $140. So, yeah, kind of hunting that, but pretty happy with Batman. Also, I think at some point down the line, I might want another Batman The Dark Knight Returns. And just get one that's a good price, that's, you know, nicely centered without any inner well scuffing, and kind of redeem myself from my original Batman purchase, but that's okay. Alright, I think that's going to be it for this video. So I invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. And, you know, you hit subscribe, the bell pops up, click the bell for get all our latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter too. More active on Instagram nowadays, but yeah, all the links will be in the description below for all that. But thanks, yeah, box number 2 of my entire CGC 9.8 collection. I got one more box, so I think we might do a video or 2 in between, and then I'll do box number 3, certainly within the next few days for sure. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support and all the comments out there. Thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next video.